Hey everybody, and welcome to another candy experiment. Today we're experimenting with the KitKat Bar. This is going to be one of the episodes in a series we're doing where we experiment with favorite snacks, candies, and treats, and we try them at different temperatures / cooking methods. Today, as I said, was going to be the KitKat Bar, and we're trying it in 5 different ways as always. It's always sort of the same 5 ways, maybe cooked differently each time, but trying it at room temperature, baked, microwaved, refrigerated, and frozen. We always start with just sort of the regular room temperature KitKat bar. This is an American KitKat bar. For those not familiar, American KitKat bars are a little different than other places around the world. They tend to be not as sort of, the chocolate doesn't tend to be as good, most people say. They're also made by Hershey and not by Nestle, so it's a little different, but I had a bunch of these, I had some extras of these lying around, figured I'd give this a try. Even though I would still argue that the British KitKat bar is the best KitKat bar made, even an American one is pretty good. I mean, it's a KitKat bar. It's one of the best candy bars on the market. In fact, I would say, depending on where you buy it, is the best candy bar on the market. So, So next, we're going to try, also in its package, a refrigerated KitKat bar. So this has been sitting in my refrigerator for a couple of weeks now. It still feels kind of cold. I took it out just, right before I do this, I run downstairs and grab them. So the texture is just a little bit harder. Of course it would be. It was refrigerated. And it takes a little bit longer for the flavor to sort of get into your mouth. When you're eating like a room temperature KitKat bar, and most people would recommend eating chocolate room temperature, there's something about because it just melts really quickly in your mouth, it just sort of, the chocolate sort of goes all through you really quickly. Whereas when you have like a refrigerated candy bar, you sort of have to defrost it before that flavor really explodes. Because these are packaged too, the packet, and I put them in a Ziploc bag as well. It didn't take on any of the flavors from my refrigerator, but that is something to think about. If you have an open KitKat bar, I wouldn't recommend just sort of putting it in your refrigerator as is. Seal it as best you can, because chocolate takes on the flavors of things in your refrigerator and it'll ruin the flavor. So already the flavor's kind of dulled down until later on it sort of sneaks up on you a little bit. But if you had this like next to an onion, just open, it would be awful. But it is different. It's also less sort of sticky on the fingers. Next, another one in the package. This KitKat bar has been frozen and still is frozen. I can still feel it. It's definitely harder. I can touch it all I want, and it's not coming off on my fingers at all. The first one, the room temperature one, was like kind of getting my fingers all sticky, but it's. I feel like it's a little darker than the other one. I don't know. I was half expecting it to be a little harder, but it's pretty similar to the frozen one. The chocolate is colder, but the wafers really don't hold the coldness that well. The minute your mouth sort of gets in there, they're warm again. And much like the refrigerated one, it's taking a little bit longer for the chocolate flavor to sort of come into effect and for the chocolate to melt. I would say very little difference between the frozen and the refrigerated KitKat bar. Next, they're already unwrapped because I couldn't microwave and or put a KitKat bar in the oven with the wrapper on, because I think that would probably kill me if I ate it. Next, let's do microwaved. Oh, yeah, this is just by picking it up. First of all, it sticks to the bottom of the plate as well as the thing I microwaved it on, so you're already losing chocolate. It's melting in my hands quite quickly. Well, it's already melted, so I'm getting chocolate all over my fingers. But I mean, partially melted chocolate is fantastic. I think we can all agree that there's something about chocolate that's a little bit warmer that improves it. But the wafers, a little bit of warmth on those wafers, and they actually come out a little bit stronger. It's almost like it blends a little better. This is pretty good. I microwaved this for about a minute on high on my microwave. Basically till I started seeing signs of it melting a little bit. But the chocolate definitely totally melted. And the wafer just, a little warm kick, kind of gives it a nice, almost a toasty flavor, but it ups the wafer flavor. I think we can agree that above room temperature, once you're going above room temperature, at least in a microwave, you're improving, I think, every step. But as I said, we all know that melted chocolate is great. I mean, it's really good. Chocolate is sort of really nice. I mean, it can go too far. You can burn chocolate really easily. But if you take it to a certain level, you're definitely improving it. So I'd say a warm Kit Kat bar, not too bad. Next, I've got toasted. And this is something interesting's happened to it. So you'd think it'd be like just melted chocolate, but it's actually developed sort of a hard crust on it, almost as if it's baked. Now, I haven't been into this yet, but my theory is this. My theory is that Kit Kat chocolate has a lot of sugar in it. So what we've sort of done is created a chocolate flavored candy coating. Because of the amount of sugar in here, it's melted the chocolate and it's toasted it a little bit. So that might be part of the reason why it's crunchy. But I think there is just a lot of sugar here. And so the sugar basically went from being mixed into a chocolate to almost turning into an almost hard candy. This is what I'm suspecting. I haven't bit into it yet or anything like that. But let's it's almost like, this is actually really good. It's like a chocolate cookie. It's like a wafer cookie surrounded by chocolate cookie. It reminds me, you can check on a previous video on our YouTube channel where they actually manufactured a Kit Kat bar that when you put it in the oven, turned it into a cookie. It turns out it's not much different than just Kit Kat bars. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's so much sugar in there that basically it's almost like a meringue cookie surrounding the wafers, like a chocolate meringue cookie surrounding wafers with little bits of chocolate. The wafers also toasted up nicely and warmed up, and as we discovered with the microwave version of the Kit Kat bar, warm wafers are actually really good. But that's a cookie. At that point, you're no longer a chocolate bar. You're a cookie. So I wonder, after discovering that if you put a Kit Kat bar in the oven, the sugar on the outside with the chocolate ingredients almost turns into like a meringue cookie. So could one then call Kit Kat bars like raw cookie dough sort of candy bars? I don't know. It's weird. But that was a cookie. I just ate a cookie. It didn't feel like a Kit Kat bar at all. It was good too. It was a tasty cookie. I highly recommend it. I did it for about 2 or 3 minutes at 350 until it sort of started browning on the top, which is about my rule for these experiments. Is once it starts browning on the top sort of nicely, I stop and that's when I pull it out. It was rather wet when I first pulled it out, but literally the walk from my kitchen downstairs to up here cooled it off enough that it was cookie-ish and it was good. So I mean, what can we say from this? Freezing your Kit Kat bars or refrigerating them is pretty much the same thing. The flavor's still there, but it takes a little longer to get in your mouth. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you're doing it to save them, it might be okay, but really limit your time and really make sure they're packaged well. Like keep the bar in the wrappers as best you can, and put that inside a Ziploc bag, and try and avoid keeping anything stinky near it from your refrigerator because it will take on those flavors. Maybe the freezer might make it last longer, but I don't really think it's worth it. And considering Kit Kat bars are pretty much available everywhere in the world, I don't think you should have a reason for storing Kit Kat bars in your refrigerator and freezer. I think there's always an opportunity to get one fresh. So, I mean, yeah, don't bother refrigerating them. Room temperature, they're a great candy bar. Heat it up slightly in a microwave. Oh my God, the chocolate just melts. It's beautiful. the wafer flavor increased so much more. Definitely better. I think better than room temperature. The oven baked is a different beast. It's a really good cookie. It's not really a Kit Kat bar anymore. It feels more like a cookie because the chocolate is just gone. So I would say that the microwave is a better thing. The oven is a different thing. So if you want to just try something different, give it a shot. Like I say, 3 or 4 minutes, 350, toasted them up really nicely. It was pretty good. So thanks for watching me do another silly candy experiment. As always, you can follow me on Twitter @CandyCritic, or go to candycritic.org and find links to all of my other social media, including Instagram and Tumblr and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. You can also go to my Patreon, patreon.com/candycritic. There you can help support the site. You get videos, you get previews of videos, you get a weekend video, you get a little insights, bloopers, and that sort of thing about the creation of these videos, as well as all of our reviews and stuff like that. And also you get copies of my microcomic, Snack Facts, and depending on the tier you're on, you can get copies of it. You can get physical copies or digital copies, again, depending on the tier. If you want to just get the comic book, check it out on the Candy Critic site, or go to candycritic.org/snackfacts, and there you will find links to buy all the issues you want. Physical copies should be out by now. I don't know, I'm working on it at the time of this taping, but I'm sure it'll be done by the time this video comes out. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.